Guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another First Division show. We're going to touch on, while we're at it here as well, we're going to actually but we're going to give our predictions for the FAI Cup next weekend as well in this particular show, because in the Premier Division show, I'm going to talk about the European games. So it's just to spread it out a little bit. Sean, welcome to the show as usual.
No, thanks for having me,
Keith.
Keith.
We've got Athlone and Galway, and I had a sneaky feeling that Athlone would get something out of the game. They nearly did. Finished 1-0. Dave Hurley on 84 minutes. One thing I haven't commented on with Dave Hurley, I know he has scored some penalties, but he scored 14 goals this season from midfield. Some haul, isn't it? I mean, he's Galway's top scorer.
Yeah, it's hugely impressive. I mean, now the set pieces do factor into that, but I mean, he scored a fair few from play as well.
Yeah.
So certainly a very impressive season for him personally.
Mm.
From a Galway perspective, I think, look, performance is secondary at this stage. You just want to keep picking up them results. There's obviously going to be massive improvements made to the squad. The latest transfer rumor now surrounding Galway is that they're prepared to make a big offer to get Daryl Horgan to come back. Look, this squad is already looking towards the next season.
I was just going to say that Horgan would, if that was the case, Horgan's looking at Galway as a Premier Division team,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, so that's why it's important, like, to keep picking up the results. Like, to be fair to Athlone, I think a large part of why this game was so difficult is because of how well they performed. I didn't think they had it in them to contain Galway like that. I thought if they were going to get anything out of this game, it was going to be a matter of them scoring 3 or 4 goals, relying on the likes of Piero to get those goals for them. But they did a good job limiting Galway in this game. But Galway probably deserved winners.
Yeah, Galway would be delighted because they obviously drew last time out. So their mantra is if we do drop points, we make sure we win the next game. And if they do that, if they kind of went on a win-draw, let's say, scenario till the end of the season, win-draw, hypothetically, they'd probably still end up winning the league, to be honest, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Look, I don't know. I mean, bar unless our players like we just bring in these players and like everybody clicked, like it was just like if you have like a miracle scenario where all the players click and we win every single game from now until the end of the table, that's pretty much what it would have to take at this stage to knock Galway off the top spot. And even then, like, they're 13 points clear, so it would be unprecedented.
Yeah, of course, Waterford have a game in hand. We'll get on to that actually in a minute, but I suppose we'll talk about Bray at the Carlisle grounds against and Dane Massey was sent off in 59 minutes in this one against Wexford, and Wexford were well beaten, in which I thought was a vital game for them the week before in Athlone. And so to come back here and win 3-0 to Carlisle was surprising for me. Carberley with a very early goal. Alua, interestingly, who's now on loan at Wexford, made it 2-0, and Kenny deep in stoppage time. And it's a massive win for Wexford because they're now 2 points behind Bray, and I know Bray's remit was for Ian Ryan was to get into playoffs this season. Now they're still in that position, but there's murmurs of discontent in Bray at the moment because their form has seemed to dropped off big time. They're conceding way too many goals. You kind of expected them to be in the higher echelons of the playoffs. And I've said before, that doesn't matter where you finish the playoffs, really, once you finish there. But the point is, they're in danger of actually dropping out of there. So it's interesting to see what happens there. Ian Ryan, we all know, is a good coach and that, and they brought in some players. Maddie, it's hard to know how that would go. I think Sean Quinn is a very good sign. He was very good at Shels when they were winning the first division. But they have to get into it. Even if they don't get promoted, you feel like, for Ian Ryan's sake, they can't really drop out of the playoffs, or maybe he could be under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, well, I think making the playoffs is it's a very inflexible target. I mean, promotion this season is a lofty ambition. I mean, I wouldn't sack Ian Ryan if they didn't get promoted this season, because I think the way you're going to look at it, the next season, the first division is going to be a lot weaker. You're going to have a better chance at going up. I would be concerned, though. I mean, now, it was no secret that Bray's form had dropped off, but we were waiting for him to bounce back, and especially in this game at home to Wexford, who themselves had a really bad result last week. I mean, this was a game that they really could have used as a springboard. So the fact that they weren't able to win it was really concerning, and I mean the fashion in which they lost it as well was really poor. I mean, Dane Massey getting sent off. The third goal in particular that Wexford got was a calamity. I mean, just a total lack of communication there between the goalkeeper and the defence. But I mean, look, from a Wexford perspective, that win is absolutely vital, especially after last week's loss. It keeps them well alive in the playoff race, and with other results this week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cobh were beaten, and we'll get onto that later in Athlone. Just touch on Thomas Alua. I was talking about this actually. I was a bit surprised actually the Waterford let him go, because he's a player that I think when we were saying that Wazim was moving to Galway, you were saying and rightfully that Alua seemed to be ahead of him in the pecking order, and obviously Coughlin can't be dropped. But not only that, Alua can play left and could play right hypothetically as well. And we're talking about how Waterford squad is quite weak in terms of numbers. Not to say they mightn't be bringing other players in those positions, but yeah, that one did surprise me. Did it surprise you?
It certainly did. I mean, now he hasn't gotten that much playing time this season, and he hasn't scored that many goals. But I would still think, he's a player that you'd look to. He's still quite young. He can improve a lot.
He could be a big addition to Wexford getting into those playoffs, like.
Well, he scored. I mean, he had a great debut. Like, he scored in his first game for him. Now the fact that he went out on loan as opposed to, say, having his contract terminated signifies that maybe what Keith wanted to happen was he'd get more game time, because he's gonna struggle for it behind Ronan Coughlin, but that he'd get the game time. And that maybe next season he'll be more in the first team picture. Yeah, but I mean, as you said, like, even that, even with that, like, I'd still like to see him around our dressing room, like, because we do need the depth.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, Treaty and Waterford was called off for the 50th time this season as well. So it might never be played. Or, you know what I mean? They'll have to play in canoes or something at some point. But it finished up in Finn Park. I wasn't expecting this now. Finn Harps 4, Cobh 3. Certainly wasn't expecting 4 goals from Finn Harps. They haven't done that this season. And let's be honest, a very good win for them. Cobh will be disappointed. But the game seemed to ebb and flow. Warrow putting Cobh in the lead. Flood equalising. Warrow then making the 2-1. Flood equalising yet again. Then Patrick Ferry scored his first goal for the club to put Harps 3-2 up. Mikey Rowe, who's on loan from Galway now, as well as Warrow, of course, but has only joined on loan, made it 3-3. And Sean O'Donnell on 72 minutes gave Finn Harps a 4-3 win in what was a very entertaining game, and a very good win for Finn Harps. And I suppose, you can look at the league table or whatever, but still technically it definitely keeps them in the playoff picture when you look at the points. They're only 5 points.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, the thing of the matter is, even with the way even with how bad Harps were in lots of games this year, there's such a sort of cluster around that area that any kind of a result would have shot them into the playoff picture again. It was I mean, just I don't know what I say. Cobh did that much wrong. Lee Stacey made a bad error for one of the goals. But aside from that, I think it was really a matter of the crowd got behind the Harps team. Now it is a long trip for Cobh. Maybe that factored into it as well. The rain does seem to benefit Finn Harps in one way or another, and the conditions weren't great up there, so that could have factored in as well. But
look, this was Ollie Horgan football.
I'm suggesting there's some kind of deity watching over Finn Harps. Giving him good luck whenever they
they could beat Man United in that weather.
They really could. But I mean, look, all joking aside, like, it was hugely impressive for Finn Harps, I have to say. Like, the best performance of the season from them. The guile that they had to concede an equaliser 3 times and then still go back.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, just absolutely fantastic. And as well as that, like, they've struggled to score goals this season. So to score 4 goals against Cobh Ramblers, really fantastic all around.
Yeah, Cobh will be disappointed, but at the same time, they're in a very good position, still third in that table.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
And results suited them elsewhere pretty much too.
Absolutely. Now, the only thing, I suppose, is that this does give Waterford an opportunity to win that game at hand now and put even more distance between themselves and Cobh. But I think even to be fair, that was an outside chance already, and there's probably not a whole lot of difference between finishing second and third. So
finished Longford Town 2, Kerry FC 1, Armstrong and Magerson with the goals. Gaxa scoring a penalty to level things up for Kerry, and I suppose expected that Longford would win this match, to be honest, Sean. And I suppose like Harps, they're only 5 points now behind the playoffs as well. And Kerry, as I say, 6 points. We said that before. They're still 6 points, seem to be stuck on that now, don't they, at this point? But look, Longford will be delighted just to get the win. But I think the interesting thing about this game was that Bastian Heary made his debut for Longford, and he came on 4 minutes, 2 touches, and a red card.
Well, I watched this game and I couldn't tell what it was for, but the referee had absolutely no hesitation, went straight to the pocket and produced a red card.
Was there complaints? What were the complaints like?
There was, it was a bit of bewilderment, all right, a bit of bewilderment, but nobody. Maybe it was a case that they were so confused that nobody even knew what to protest against, but nobody, they didn't get around the referee or anything like that. It must have been, so he must have said something. I don't know. He must have said something really bad, because that's the only thing I can see, because he didn't make any. There was no like really bad.
And it was a straight red as well. Just
it was a straight red. Yeah. As far as the game as a whole goes, Kerry introduced all 4 new signings straight onto the pitch, which is a very bold gamble, I thought. But I thought they worked quite well, actually. I thought they moved Sean McGrath off the wing into sort of a number 10 role to accommodate Okwute there out in the wing. They really do have like nearly a Kerry 11 at this stage now, with Coughlin and Okwute coming in. That's I mean, I think even with that, Longford were deserved winners. Walsh at the back was really, really good for Longford. McGarrison got the goal.
He's starting to get a few goals now, isn't he? After injury problems there before,
Yeah, he came off the bench again today, so he may not be at 100% yet.
Yeah,
but he's definitely coming back into the picture. And Gary Armstrong got another fine goal after the one he got last week. So look, Longford will be happy enough with that. I think they did just enough to win the game. So it's a matter of again getting into that playoff picture and being only 5 points behind fifth. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah, the FAI Cup next weekend, obviously round of 32, a lot of non-league clubs in this. There's going to be 3 Premier Division teams, though. However, they're going to be knocked out, actually. So, that's interesting, isn't it, to be fair? And I suppose there's 2 big ties in this round, but I'll just kind of go in the order what I have here. And we'll start off with Bohemians and Shelburne, which is part 2, obviously, after the game last weekend. And, of course, Shelburne knocked Bohs out in the semi-final last year, hammered them actually at Tolka 3-0. I was there, and Bohs were very poor on that day, and it's probably one of the games that kind of got Keith Long sacked, basically, to be honest with you. So Bohs will be out for revenge in many ways for this one at Dalymount Park, and Duff will be there to try and spoil the party and get another cup run going for Shelburne. Interesting one, isn't it? I don't know who's going to win it, though. The league game last weekend, I couldn't call it. I guessed 1-1 really, it was right, but I expect this to be tight as well, do you?
I expect it to be tight, yeah. I mean, there's not a lot to put between the 2 teams, really. I think Shelburne have a bit more bite about them. I think it's really tough to call. The revenge does factor into it, because even though they played each other in the league, I think the cup is an entirely different affair. It's a really tough one to call, but I think you're right. I fancy Shels to pip this one in a close contest. I don't know. I think things are going a bit better with Shels at the moment. I think with Bohs, there's a bit of the season is starting to falter after having such a great start, and the new signings that they brought in don't appear to be making any massive headway for them just yet. Although, to be fair, Danny Grant,
he's still 3 weeks away roughly from being fit, by the way, so he won't be available.
They're really in trouble. So Shels are going to win this one at a canter.
Yeah, well, I think Afalabi's on form for Bohs. He's got 4 goals in 4 games. And he's doing well. I think, like you, the only difference is I think Bohs might nick it. I think they might get revenge from last year, but very tight. So I think I'll go with 1-0. Next up is Drogheda and Sligo. So another game where one of the Premier Division teams are going to be knocked out. And Drogheda have had a bit of bad luck in the last few years in the Cup. They tend to get Premiership teams or Premier Division teams in the round of 32. And for example, they were knocked out by Derry only 2 years ago on penalties. Sligo seem to play very well when the conditions are very, very windy as well, which seems to be the case, having won obviously against Cork at the weekend, the 3-0 win, and against Bohemians at home when the weather was terrible, 3-1. But away from home, they haven't been the same. Drogheda, it can be a hostile atmosphere. The fans are usually very hostile there as well, but again, find it tough to predict, but my head is telling me Drogheda may well pinch this one.
Well, it would be about time, I suppose, really. I suppose the only thing, did they bring in Luke Waite-Slater there? Playing with Warrenpoint there in the championship up in Northern Ireland. Yeah. That'd be an interesting signing. I mean, I think he's a bit better than championship level up there. So, a smart signing for Drogheda. Yeah. Sligo, on the other hand, brought in a Portuguese striker. Is it Duffer Benfica? He could be, sure he could be anything really. Like he could be
brilliant.
Great.
They've gone back to
yeah. I mean, there's no middle ground, is there?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say it'd be one or the other.
Absolutely. Yeah. It really depends if Sligo turn up, because I think if Sligo do play to the fullest of their ability, they could blow Drogheda away. I think if Drogheda do win this one, it's going to be like a really tight, sort of nitty-gritty affair. Now, to be fair, Sligo haven't had the best luck in the Cup either. They got knocked out by Wexford last year. They got knocked out by Cork, who were also in the first division the time before that.
The teams that should have been beaten, let's say, really. And they were home in both ties, weren't they?
Yeah. They did have a good win against Cork this weekend. Yeah. But, I think... again, a very tight game to call, but I think you're right. I think Drogheda. It's a case of one of these teams has to win, even though they both had bad luck. So I think maybe I'll go for a home crowd and say Drogheda will pinch this one after extra time.
I think Drogheda could be. I think Drogheda would love a cup run as well. Kerry and Ringmahon, not quite the Kerry and Cork derby, but it is a Kerry and Cork derby, and obviously Ringmahon, well-known club in Cork. But the interesting thing about this one for me is that Kerry, for a change, and for the only time this season, are going to be favourites for this. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Well, I mean...
and there's pressure on them a little bit.
There is a bit of pressure because, I said this last week as well, that they're going to be expected to win this game. Yeah. That's like uncharted territory for them. Like, they're going to be expected to win a game. I think... with the new signings coming in, and I watched them against Longford, like I was quite impressed. I thought, there's definitely now there's a bit of, obviously a bit of time is going to take for these players to gel. But if they don't win this one, it's going to be a real, it's going to be devastating to morale. I don't want to be all doom and gloom about Kerry, but that's the way it's going to be. Ringmahon I think Ringmahon are underdogs, but they're not massive underdogs playing in the Munster Senior League. It's still going to be a challenge for Kerry. But I think they're well capable of winning this. I think they could get a 2-0 win here. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see. I think they'll win it as well. I'll go 2-0 as well. Kilbarrack then, United club from Dublin against Finn Harps. And again, the league teams should be favourites for this. They should be winning this. But, again, also you have to note that the non-league teams aren't even in season really either, so they're really up against it, I think. And I know it was last year they were well beaten, weren't they, in a lot of these ties. So they really, really are up against it in every shape, way and form. But Finn Harps, after that win in Cobh, they should be winning this game.
Yeah, I think so.
Or not in Cobh, but at home to Cobh,
I think so, yeah. This is hang on, sorry, actually, could you say what game this was again? Sorry, I got distracted.
Kilbarrack and Finn Harps, sorry.
Someone's iPhone was trying to connect to my laptop there, and I'm not sure who it was. I think so. I think Finn Harps after last week, they're going to be on a high. I mean, look, I'll be honest, I don't know much about Kilbarrack, but you'd
No,
still
they're
fancy
Leinster
Harps.
senior team. They're a
Yeah.
Dublin team. I'm not really sure who plays for them actually at the moment. So, but you know, they're not in season though. As I said, these teams, non-league teams. But you know, Harps they should be winning this game. Like you know,
Yeah, absolutely. They really should. I mean, if they don't, like, it's going to look very bad for Dave Rogers. But I think there's more of a gap here than there is between Kerry and Ringmahon. I think
yeah,
I'd really fancy Harps to win this
I
one
would
and get a few
also.
goals at the same time.
Yeah, I'll go with 3-1. Treaty in Cork now. All these on Friday, the one so far, and hopefully this actually
Mm,
goes ahead for a start because
mm,
the weather hasn't been brilliant, like you know what I mean, either. So we'll see how
mm,
it happens during the week. But again, I suppose with Cork, we have to mention the fact that Rory Keaton's father was killed in a car crash, which is just
mm.
horrendous. And I believe they only found out about it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, any Cork fans, but I believe they only found out about this at half time, the Sligo game, and Rory was taken off at half time. And like awful news, and to find out in circumstances of in game and stuff like that, it's a horrible situation. I'm not sure if Rory would want to play in that game or not, but obviously, you know, it's horrible for any player, and you know, I'm sure the players at the club are feeling that as well. To be fair, so you know, difficult to go out and play a football match in those circumstances. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he's a very important player for him. It was big news when they did secure a signature because there was interest from Derry. But there are things more important than football, and this is one of those things. If he does sit this game out, then there'll be nobody begrudge him. I certainly don't think any Cork fans will begrudge him.
No.
I suppose to talk about the game, if it does go ahead, because of course conditions haven't been favourable. I don't think Treaty are as good as they were last year. I think last year Treaty would have really put it up to Cork, especially in Limerick. But I don't see that happening this time around. I think maybe if Enda Curran can have a really good game for him, then they might produce a shock. Cork's form may work against them. But I would still say that the most likely scenario is that Cork are going to win this one, and it could be quite comfortable. I think 3-0 to Cork.
Yeah, I think it could be as well. I think also and sometimes when situations like that happen, that a determination comes into the side, an extra kind of determination. They might go out and perform, and I think you're right. I think they'll win in Treaty. I'll go 2-0. UCD and Cobh, then you're talking about a team really struggling at the foot of the Premier Division table and playing with absolutely zero confidence. I'd argue Cobh Ramblers are probably a better side than them at the moment as well, to be honest, regardless of
Yeah,
the division.
yeah.
So it's a weird one because the Cobh go there and win, it's not a shock. I suppose if UCD win, it's not a shock. But I do think Cobh might pinch this one.
I think so. I think Cobh, with the way they're going now, it was a bit of a shock to the system that they lost last week, but I still favour them to win this game. UCD, I mean, morale has to be very, very low there at the moment. But yeah, and look, I don't think Cobh are going to have an easy time in this game, but I think that if Cobh play to the fullest of their ability, which they have done fairly consistently all season, then they should win this game. I think it could be an exciting one, maybe, let's say 3-2 to Cobh.
Yeah, it could be actually. Yeah, Wexford and Avondale, another team from Cork up against Wexford after that win, that good win over the weekend against Bray. Again, you'd be expecting Wexford to get a win here and comfortably get through to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else we can say about that, really. Sure, look, it'll be a nice morale booster for Wexford. I mean, really, if all goes well.
All them are on Friday. These ones on Saturday. Lucan United, who have done okay in the last few years in the FAI Cup, take on St Patrick's CY from Ringsend. So this is a Dublin derby, really, a non-league Dublin derby. Good facility down in Lucan. I know Dave Mooney was involved there as well. I'm not sure if he's still involved as a coach with the senior team or not. He was actually player coach last year as well, but they actually played Bohs and were beaten 2-0. I think it was 2-0 Dalymount Park against Bohs. They were the only non-league team that really put up a showing against a team in the league. And for that reason, I think I'd have to have them favourites here, and I'll go for a Lucan win. Strange kick-off time, by the way. It's 11 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah, well, that seems like a really kind of junior league kind of a thing. Like that's like when we'd be playing games. But yeah, look, I mean, I think Lucan, to be fair, I remember that actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they got sent down to 10 men very early on in that game as well, which made it even more impressive.
They
Now,
did. I was there. Yeah, their
yeah.
keeper made some very good saves in the match as well.
So yeah, look, I mean, on the basis of that, and not much else, admittedly, but on the basis of that, I think you'd have to say they're favourites to go through.
Yeah, I would say so. Cockhill from Donegal, Cockhill Celtic take on Bray Wanderers, and Bray will be wanting to. You'd argue a bit of pressure on them here, but they'll
Oh
be
yeah.
wanting that defeat and general performances behind them, because I
Mm.
tell you what, if they were beaten here, in which I don't think they will, then the pressure really would be on Ian Ryan. Let's be real about that. But I do
Yeah.
think they'll go up and win comfortably enough.
Yeah, well, I think that of all the games, this one has banana skin written on it the most, but I'm not brave enough to say that it will actually happen to them. So I think, you know, Bray will win this one, but I don't think it'll be in flying form. Like, I don't think they'll really, like, the golfing class will show. I think it could be a 1-0 or a 2-0 game.
Yeah, Gorey Rangers from Wexford take on Rockmount, another Cork team, three
Mm.
non-league teams from Cork in it. And again, don't know an awful lot about the sides per se, but with Rockmount's reputation, although it is in Gorey, I think maybe Rockmount might do enough to get through here.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you have to give the advantage to Munster Senior League teams over,
Yeah.
say, uh, county league teams. But yeah, I mean, look, it could happen. The home advantage does matter a lot, especially the further down the pyramid you go.
Yeah.
But I'd still favour Rockmount to win this game.
Yeah, Galway United then take on Bangor Celtic, and they're actually from Crumlin and Dublin as well. Don't be put off by the name, guys. But this, I'd be a bit worried about Bangor in this one, because if Galway are in the mood and
Oh
play
yeah.
a fairly full team, this could be a big scoreline. Of a bad feeling about this one for Bangor.
I think even if they're rest players,
Yeah.
you're looking at bringing on the likes of Wasim, Awatria, and Aid Dervin, like, you know, still really good players. It could be quite a hefty scoreline. I mean, Galway are a physical side as well. Like, you know, they will, and Coffey and Horgan will not take it
Tolerate
easy.
drops
Like,
and standards.
no, they won't take it easy. Like, you know, this I don't like to say it about a team, but this could really be like a cricket score.
Yeah. I'm not even going to give a prediction on the actual score, because it could be a big score. St Michael's then from Tipperary take on your club, Waterford FC. And obviously, Waterford didn't have a game last weekend, but Waterford shouldn't have any problems here, if we're honest.
Well, yeah, all going well. We shouldn't. There'll be time for it's a nice game, I suppose, really, because we have a few new signings to integrate into the squad. This will be a nice time to test them out, give a few players a run who maybe haven't had a run in a while. So, you know, I mean, you give respect to every team you play, but really, if we do lose this one, it's time to pack it up and go home.
Probably. On Sunday, then Portlaois take on Skerries Town, which is a Leinster derby. Skerries Town, Dublin, Portlaois. Obviously, you might have guessed they're from Laois. No idea on this one. I'm going to go with the home team though, just for the sake.
I'll just say Portlaois because I know where that is.
Why not? Dublin get enough right, so we'll go with Portlaois. Derry City and Athlone Town. Some people might consider this a bit of a banana skin. It will be interesting to see how Athlone get on against a side like Derry, actually. You know what I mean? I do fancy Derry, but I think it might be only 2-0 or something.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Athlone are a really bizarre side. They're capable of playing well enough to beat anybody, really, especially with the way the Premier Division has worked out this season. No one's really running away with it. Because Derry are at home, I think, you know, you still favour them to win. But, you know, maybe there'll be a European hangover. Athlone could do something. I think if I have to make one upset call this week, I'm going to say Athlone will win this game 1-0.
The same could be said of Longford and St Patrick's Athletic in many ways, because similar style in terms of first start. Longford are home, and Pats might have a European hangover as well. Like, I think they prefer to play this at Richmond, I'm sure. On paper, you would say Pats, but because of that, it is a potential banana skin as well. I do think Pats might do enough to nick it, but of course, Pats were beaten against Waterford last year in a similar situation, weren't they?
Yeah, potentially a banana skin as well. I mean, but I don't know. I think the way Longford do play very defensively. I don't. I think what could happen is Pats have players like Chris Forrester who can, one bit of skill can turn the whole defense inside out. Longford did show a bit of initiative there down at the RC against us. which could service them in this game. But I don't know. I don't feel sort of this is as much of an upset potential as Athlone and Derry. So I think Pats will win a close game here, maybe 2-1.
Yeah, and then finally on Sunday, arguably the tie it around in a sense. You've got Shelburne and Bohs being a derby, but Dundalk and Shamrock Rovers, and both teams will be in Europe. Shamrock Rovers are definitely struggling at the moment as well, and Dundalk beat them a couple of weeks ago in Oriel Park in the league. This is tough to call, actually.
It's tough to call. I mean,
it's a big team going out here, and it'd be mad if Rovers actually went out, and they could do.
They say that, I mean, in this situation, you prefer to be the team that lost the last time, because if you're the team that won, you have to sort of anticipate what the opposition is going to do. When you're the losing team, you can look at it and say, okay, this is what didn't work, so we won't do that. This is what did work, we'll do that. But I don't know. I mean, Rovers are really, really underperforming at this stage. I mean, the game against Bray was really tepid and very uncharacteristic. They have a chance to, I suppose, rectify that. But that'll be their priority. I think Dundalk are going to be at home against Bruno's Magpies, and they didn't lose the away tie. I mean, it was still disappointing that they couldn't get the win. But you still favour, I think Dundalk are in a much better position in Europe. That'll factor into it. Rovers are under a lot of pressure. Even with what I said about the losing team having somewhat of an advantage, I will still think Dundalk are the favourites here, and I'm going to say they're going to win this game again 2-0.
Yeah, and as you say, Rovers have to travel as well and travel back, and they've a few injuries and stuff, and look a bit fatigued, in my opinion. I actually think Dundalk will win it as well, but I'll go with 1-0 Dundalk. So, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments. Give us a few predictions. If you are a fan or part of any of these non-league clubs, let us know in the comments. More information maybe would be good as well. We'll leave it there. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Keith.
Sound. And just with a minute to go. Brilliant.
Yeah, just with a minute to go. That's perfect. Great time.